I'm also going to talk about vanilla extract, vanilla essence, vanilla paste, vanilla powder, vanilla sugar, and finally vanilla syrup. Hi, I'm Hanbit, and I'm a pastry chef from Korea. Hi everybody, it's Hanbit here. 안녕하세요, 조한빛입니다. In today's video, I'm going to cover the topic of vanilla. Vanilla is a spice that is so popular and is widely used in pastry. And the interesting thing about vanilla is that it comes in various forms. What I mean by that is that you have the vanilla seed, the vanilla pod as it is. You can use it in the form of vanilla extract, vanilla paste, vanilla sugar, vanilla powder, and etc. In today's video, I'm going to cover 7 different forms of vanilla in pastry, plus beverages. So hopefully it'll clear any doubts you might have when using vanilla. First of all, what is vanilla? Vanilla is a spice that's derived from the orchids of the genus Vanilla. It's such a flavorful and a fragrant ingredient. And to be honest, most people like vanilla. It's a widely accepted spice or an ingredient. The most common type of vanilla you would see would be from Madagascar, which is this one. It's long and it's thin. You also have the Tahitian and also the Mexican. Pastry chefs use both the Madagascar and the Tahitian vanilla beans, but it's more common to use Madagascar. I usually use Madagascar. Madagascar vanilla bean is the classic. It's got that classic rich vanilla flavor. It's most common and it has notes of dried fruit. Tahitian vanilla bean is also great. It's definitely less common, but it's characterized by its floral aroma. And personally, I think it works best when you mix both the Tahitian and the Madagascar vanilla bean. I'm going to show you how to cut the vanilla pod and use the seed inside, which is the most classic way of using the vanilla. I'm also going to talk about vanilla extract, vanilla essence, vanilla paste, vanilla powder, vanilla sugar, and finally vanilla syrup. The most classic and the common way of using the vanilla is to use the seeds. The seeds hold bulk of the flavor. So you want to scrape the seeds and use it in pastry. You can put it in pastry creams, infuse it in milk or heavy cream, put it in pound cake batters, cakes, up to you really. The way to use the vanilla pod is actually quite simple. You would typically store the vanilla bean either in the fridge or the freezer. If you have stored it in the freezer, your vanilla pod is going to be completely frozen and it's going to be hard. So just leave it outside for a few minutes to soften up. You want to cut the vanilla bean lengthways and scrape the seed out. So it's all the goodies that are inside the vanilla bean. Look at this. You are going to scrape it out, and I usually use the back of my knife. So that's what we want. Look at all the goodies there. Look at this. This is going to hold so much vanilla flavor and it's going to taste so good. Now the natural question would be, once you use the vanilla seeds inside, what do you do with the leftover empty pod? What do you do with it? And of course, I'm going to cover that in a minute. Now, I'm going to talk about vanilla extract. Many people have heard about vanilla extract and many people use it in baking. It's basically vanilla flavor extracted in a solution. If you are to make this yourself, you would typically use vodka or some sort of alcohol and dip the vanilla beans inside and leave it like that for weeks or months. Because it takes just so long to make homemade vanilla extract, so far I haven't seen my fellow pastry chefs or my pastry instructors at pastry school making vanilla extract. And the reason is because it simply takes too long to make vanilla extract. You need to leave the vanilla inside the vodka for at least 2 months and preferably like 6 months plus. So as a pastry chef, it's not really cost effective in terms of time. But of course, if you're at home and you're a home baker and you're not too pressed with time, do make it. Take a look at the descriptions for the recipe. There's actually an FDA guideline on how much vanilla you need for a certain amount of liquid. So please take a look at my recipe for that. Now, the big question on the vanilla extract is whether it can replace the vanilla seeds. I've seen people saying yes and people saying no. So I guess there's no kind of right or wrong and it's a matter of personal preference. If you ask me on whether I replace vanilla seeds with vanilla extract, and my answer is no. It's simply not the same, and it doesn't bring that kind of real vanilla flavor that the seeds can bring. Well, does that mean that I don't use vanilla extract? Not at all. I use vanilla extract on a daily basis. But the purpose of using vanilla extract in my case is to remove the eggy smell. It's very effective in removing the eggy smell from the batter. So for example, if I'm making genoise, which is a very high proportion of eggs, it's going to result in some sort of an eggy smell. And vanilla extract here is very effective at removing that smell. So summing up, I do use vanilla extract regularly, but I don't use it in the place of vanilla seeds. Next up is vanilla essence. I don't have it here today because I don't really use it, but I've seen a lot of bakers using it. Vanilla essence is a processed product which imitates the vanilla extract. It uses artificial flavors like synthetic vanillin and is very effective in removing an eggy smell just like the vanilla extract. So if you don't have vanilla extract, you can use vanilla essence. Vanilla paste. And vanilla paste is very interesting because you can see the vanilla seeds. So it's basically vanilla seeds infused or let's say immersed in some sort of a very thick syrupy solution. So if you look here, it's very thick and syrupy. And you can see specks of vanilla. To be honest, I'm just so used to using the vanilla bean, as in scraping out the seeds. I've actually never used the vanilla paste when I was at pastry school, and it's only in the recent few months that I've been getting a lot of questions about using the vanilla paste, so I've bought it and I've used it, and I think it's quite decent. It's fairly intense in terms of the vanilla flavor, and of course you can see that by the specks of vanilla seeds. So I think you can replace the vanilla seeds with vanilla paste. The conversion rate really depends on the size of the vanilla that you're using, as well as the brand of the vanilla paste you're using. So you need to test that out yourself. Vanilla powder. I think vanilla powder is the best way to use your leftover vanilla pods. You simply need to dry them out completely and then just blend them in a food processor. That's it, and turn them into powder. Just a couple of points though. Firstly, you need to dry out your vanilla beans completely. If you live in a hot, dry country, just leave it outside and it'll dry out. If not, what you can do is put it inside the oven after you bake something else. The purpose here is not to bake the vanilla beans. You don't want to toast it or roast it. You just want to dry it out. So let's say you've baked a pound cake and you've taken the pound cake out of the oven. Just turn the oven off and put the vanilla beans, the empty vanilla pods, inside. So the residual heat from the oven will dry out your vanilla beans. Just check after a few minutes, just touch it, and if it seems dry, it's fine. If it's not, just leave it inside for longer. The other point when making vanilla powder is that you need a certain quantity of used vanilla beans so that you can actually blend it and turn it into a powder in the food processor. If you simply have 1 or 2 empty pods, your food processor won't be able to blend it. So just stock it up like what I've done here and just blend it whenever you have enough. I simply have to blend it into a powder, and that's it really. Wow, that looks great. Vanilla. This is my vanilla powder. Currently it's a mixture of fine and coarse bits, so I'm going to pass it through a sieve. Great, so here's my vanilla powder. Now the important question is, where do you use the vanilla powder? What's it for? Can it replace the vanilla seeds? The answer is yes and no. This vanilla powder was made from empty pods, and as mentioned earlier, bulk of the aroma and the flavor comes from the seeds, which means this vanilla powder wouldn't have an aroma of a flavor as strong as the seeds. So it's difficult to completely replace the seeds. However, I use vanilla powder when I make cakes, so in kind of batter where you bake it. Of course, you can use vanilla seeds when making vanilla madeleine or vanilla pound cakes, but I think vanilla powder does a really good job of bringing out that vanilla flavor. I don't use vanilla powder when infusing it in some sort of a solution or liquid to really bring out that vanilla flavor. So let's say in milk, heavy cream, or when making pastry cream. The flavor simply isn't concentrated enough compared to the vanilla seeds. So if you use this for batter, it's going to be great. Vanilla sugar. To be honest, this vanilla sugar should be called sugar with the scent of vanilla. Because what I'm going to do essentially is just add the vanilla beans, the dry vanilla pods, and just stick it inside the sugar and leave it like that. That way, over time, the sugar is going to absorb the aroma of vanilla. Of course, this vanilla sugar is not going to be a game changer. It's not going to add vanilla flavor into your vanilla pound cake, but it's definitely more interesting than using just bland sugar. It's going to add a bit of the vanilla flavor and the aroma somewhere in the background. And of course, it's one of the best ways to use the leftover vanilla pods because you don't want to throw it away. You've got sugar and dry vanilla pods here. The empty vanilla pods that you're going to stick inside the sugar need to be dry because if they're wet, your sugar is going to get wet. So just stick it inside. And it really doesn't matter how many you put, that is completely up to you. Great, your vanilla sugar is done. It's as easy as that. I've actually seen another definition of the vanilla sugar where it was simply sugar and a bit of empty used vanilla pods blended together in a food processor. So essentially that is sugar and vanilla powder added together. And of course that's going to have a much stronger vanilla flavor because you have actual vanilla powder inside, but that's completely up to you. You can make vanilla sugar that way or simply just stick in the empty vanilla pods inside the sugar like I do. Here I have homemade vanilla syrup, and you use it for beverages and not for pastry. The reason is because it's too sweet and it's not concentrated enough to use it for pastry. So use it when you're making an amazing beverage. If you want to find out more about how to make the homemade vanilla syrup, please take a look at my previous upload. It's got that natural flavor and you can see the specks of vanilla seeds in your beverage. I've used this vanilla syrup to make vanilla latte, vanilla frappuccino, and etc. It's so easy to make it and you can store it in the fridge for a month, so try it. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video on how to use the vanilla bean. You use the seeds, you use the empty pod, you don't throw away anything. Vanilla bean is expensive, so it's all about using the vanilla bean to its max with no wastage. What I've told you today is the way I use the vanilla bean. I use vanilla extract only to remove the eggy smell and not to really add the vanilla flavor, but that's just me. You might do it differently and that's completely up to you, so what I've mentioned today should be taken as recommendation and there's no kind of a steadfast rule for it. Hopefully today's video was useful in clearing out your doubts on how to use vanilla. I'll come back next time with another useful pastry 101 video. Thank you very much. 감사합니다.